Before Marvel built cinematic universes, before every toy line had a streaming plan, before nostalgia became Hollywood's favorite superpower, there was a muscle bound warrior with a magic sword, a skull faced villain with Shakespearean like energy, and a movie that somehow turned Eternia into a trip through 1980s suburban America. Today, we're opening the gates of Castle Grayskull and comparing two very different live action takes on the same legendary franchise, Masters of the Universe from 1987 and the brand new Masters of the Universe for 2026. One was a canon film swing for the fences cult classic starring Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella. The other is Amazon MGM and Mattel Studios' big budget attempt to bring He Man back to the big screen with Nicholas Galitzine, Jared Leto, or I'm sorry, Jared Leto, Idris Elba, and Camila Mendez. The 2026 film is now in theaters, directed by Travis Knight, with Amazon MGM confirming Nicholas Galitzine as Prince Adam He-Man, Jared Leto as Skeletor, Idris Elba as Duncan slash Man at Arms, and Camila Mendez as Tila. So the big question is this: did Hollywood finally get He-Man right, or did the weird, messy, low budget 1987 movie still have the true power? Welcome back to Retro Life View, where we dig into the movies, shows, toys, and pop culture that made the 80s and 90s unforgettable. Before we raise our sword of power, make sure that you are following us on social media, such as Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe wherever you're listening, Spotify, iTunes, maybe on the website at Retro Life for You. That's the number 4, the letter U.com. And check out
hit that bell.
we don't hit a bell yet. We're not at the point of being at YouTube. You always jump the shark there, always. And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to us. And what, Marty?
Hit that bell.
Not that it matters, because you jumped the shark again like in a while ago, like you always do. Anyway, check out our t-shirt shop through the bio link on Instagram as well. We've got retro inspired shirts. A few dad joke shirts are going to be on there here soon, movie reference designs, and all kinds of nostalgia goodness. So really pushing for that here soon. But quite a few the movie reference designs are on there now. But what, 27, Marty? 28?
Exactly, and they're very cool.
So. Very cool shirts. Yes, I've got 3 of myself. I bought 3 for myself already, and I've been wearing, and I love them. So I'll tell you more about them later when we talk about the shop again. Today we're doing something a little bit different. This is not just a movie review. This is a retro versus modern comparison. Masters of the Universe 1987 versus Masters of the Universe 2026. We are going to talk cast, story, tone of the movie, villains, visuals, nostalgia, what worked, what didn't work, and which version better captures the spirit of He-Man.
87.
Marty is a definite supporter of 87, and I like the movie as well. I like it, but I'm going to fall on the wayside of the newer version of the movie. And we'll each give our reasons why we think one is better than the other. But we'll start with the first one, 1987 Masters of the Universe, Marty. The original Masters of the Universe hit theaters on August 7th, 1987, and was directed by Gary Goddard, written by David Odell, and produced by Canon Films' legendary team of Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus. The movie starred Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, Frank Langella as Skeletor, Meg Foster as Evil Lynn, Billy Barty as Gwildor, wannabe Orko, Courtney Cox as Julian Winston, Robert Duncan McNeil as Kevin, and James Tolkien as Detective Lubick. This was a movie based on one of the biggest toy and cartoon franchises of the 1980s. But instead of giving audiences a full fantasy adventure on Eternia, the movie quickly brings He-Man and his allies to Earth. And that, Marty, is a decision that has been debated for almost 40
Well,
years.
I mean, you get a little bit of Eternia in the beginning, and then yes, it does go to Earth. You know, but then towards the end of the movie, it goes back to Eternia.
Does it go back to Eternia, or does it just go to a room in Castle Grayskull?
No, because Skeletor is literally like he's talking to the people, before the eye opens up and gives him the power of Grayskull. And so that's literally like the holograms up there. He's talking to them. He's talking to the minions. So,
But let
and
me ask you this. Let me ask you, how much of Eternia do you see in it? What do you get to see of Eternia?
maybe like 10 or 15 minutes at the most.
Not
So,
even 10 to 15, not even 10 minutes.
not even.
Not even.
I'll debate that. I mean, because
Okay, it depends. Okay, well, let's go ahead and give it 10 minutes because you got a couple of minutes inside Gwildor's home.
exactly. And then you got a
Let's
couple
give
of
it 10
minutes.
minutes.
And then you got a couple of minutes like where they free Grildor. So,
Right, but it's like 10 total minutes. And all you see of Eternia is a barren wasteland of an area where they lost a battle. You don't see Eternos. You don't see you don't see the palace. You don't see anything of the king and the queen.
but I mean,
you don't see the royal guard there that
but
Man at
the
Arms
thing,
commands.
but the thing is, it's more focused on He-Man and not Adam. He's never referred to as Adam.
There is no Adam in
Not
this.
not at one point.
No,
So,
but matter of fact, this movie portrays the movie to just be He-Man. He's not Prince Adam at
yeah.
all. He's just He-Man.
Hmm.
That's like that's like Prince Adam doesn't exist. The king and queen may not even be around for all we know.
Yeah.
It's just a movie based on the character of a He-Man who has friends of Man at Arms and Tila to fight alongside him. And Gwildor is somebody they pick up along the way. They rescue him.
Well, yeah.
He's like
But
a key maker, a locksmith.
yeah. But,
So,
yeah.
but here
He-Man.
on the one hand, Marty, the kids, wanted Castle Grayskull, Battle Cat, Orko, Beastman, Trapjaw, and all the wild, colorful fantasy stuff from the cartoon. That's what I wanted to see. On the other hand, Canon Films had budget limits, as always, and setting much of the story on Earth was probably the only way they could pull the movie off at the time, anyway.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't have the means to make an Orko.
Well,
It just wasn't there.
special effects back then. I mean, in '87. I mean, yeah, it's a given. I mean, they had the special effects, but like you said, Canon didn't have the money to, probably get the good special effects. So,
Do you think if anybody other than Canon had picked this up and made it, they could have made something better out of it?
well, I mean, the thing is, it's like like when I watched the movie earlier, and then literally, like when the movie's coming on, it basically says MGM, and then it goes to Canon. So, I mean, MGM already, you know, but that could have been at the time when MGM was going broke too, because we mentioned this not too long ago when MGM was struggling to like make money off of movies. So
Yeah.
they could have been, trying to hope that this maybe being under their belt plus Canon would have made them some money to get them out of debt or whatever. So
Well, let's not. I don't want people to take me wrong. All right, I do enjoy the movie from 1987. I do like the movie a lot. I like it for what it is, what it was. It was just a story about He-Man in a battle, and Skeletor is trying to take over Castle Grayskull to get the power of Grayskull because it's once in a lifetime thing about the cosmos lining up or something, and getting the ultimate power. So
I,
it's basically a story based upon that. It doesn't mean Prince Adam doesn't exist. It doesn't mean the king and the queen don't exist. I'm just throwing these things out there, as devil's advocate for the movie and everything. But I mean, I did like it for what it was. I just wanted so much more. And I think the average He-Man fan, if you were a big fan of the cartoon series, wanted so much more. The film reportedly had an estimated budget of only about 22 million. Now I know in 1987, 22 million is a pretty good chunk of change.
Yeah, that's
Um,
not too shabby. So
yeah, and it grossed roughly 17.3 million worldwide. I
okay, so
just,
it
just
didn't make his money back. So,
no, it did not make its money back, making it the box office disappointment. But over the years, it's become a cult favorite, especially because of its strange mix of fantasy, sci-fi, 80s action, and Frank Langella going absolutely all in as Skeletor.
a Skeletor.
He's a believable Skeletor by his
Mhm.
demeanor and his voice, but but the look of Skeletor is not quite, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is, I liked his look better than versus the Skeletor that's in the 2026. Even though that one is more reflective of the cartoon
Mhm.
because I mean the only thing you're really getting is just the skull face, the red eyes, the hood, and then he's basically just shirtless and muscles and
But see,
it's
this
like
is what this is what the big fans wanted, though. We wanted more Eternia. We wanted more, you know, continuity with the cartoon. We wanted it to look more like the cartoon. We want to feel like we're watching our cartoon in a live action movie. And
but,
it felt that way on a lot. Skeletor's look was more spot on. All right, Ram Man, Fisto, Mechanic, all very good, all done very well. I mean, the Prince Randor and Queen Marlena was, I mean, you make who you want out of it. It doesn't matter. I mean, you could have made whoever you wanted. Probably would have been okay. People would have been fine with it. But you didn't get the look of Tila until toward the end of it from the cartoon. She was something else. And Man at
yeah,
Arms obviously is not like he was in the first movie, but we're kind of modernized a little bit in this version of the movie in 2026 with Idris Elba playing the role of Man at Arms.
Duncan, Duncan,
Duncan.
Duncan.
Not Duncan MacLeod of the Clan
It,
MacLeod, but
it is
Duncan.
Duncan McLeod of the Glen McLeod.
You'd think it was with that music they played about halfway through, wouldn't you?
Exactly. I mean, dude, I was like, how can you rip off such a great movie and you put the Highlander music in
The
there? I
Prince
mean,
of the
I'm
Universe.
like,
That's what it was. Let's do a quick cast breakdown of the 87 movie. You had Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, coming off Rocky 4, where he played Ivan Drago. Casting him as He-Man made sense visually. Tall, muscular, blonde, heroic, but acting-wise was still early in his career, and his English wasn't exactly awesome or anything. It was just average
it
for
was
someone.
decent. I mean,
It was
decent.
decent. It was definitely decent, and he didn't. He was reluctant to take the role because he didn't want to be known as someone who played a toy. Because He Man was a big toy line, big popular toy line, and
Mhm.
he didn't want that. And plus, he was worried about his Swedish accent. So, but Dolph Lundgren, I would say he was the perfect physical specimen for He Man, but oh, man, character wise, I don't know. I mean, it like I said, I enjoyed it for what it was for the time frame when it came out. So I'm not knocking Dolph Lundgren as He Man. I don't know of anybody else at the time in 1987, unless you do, that would have fit that role and played a better version of He Man.
Uh, not anybody that I could think of. Like muscle bound Arnold, probably, but I still couldn't have seen
Mm-mm,
Arnold. I
mm-mm.
can't see Arnold Schwarzenegger, but playing He Man. So, and
No,
it just wouldn't be right. I mean,
no, no, not at all. Um, the closest you came to anybody back in that time frame in those type of movies was probably the guy that played Beastmaster. That was what Mark
Yeah, Mark Singer.
Mark Singer. From he might have been fairly close. I don't know. Frank Langella was Skeletor. Frank Langella is the reason this movie still gets talked about. Honestly, though, he his version of Skeletor, the way he acted and portrayed himself,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
intense. It's very intense.
Mm-hmm.
Very intense. And I'm not saying Jared Leto didn't do a good job either. He did a good job for what they wanted based on the cartoon version of Skeletor. We get all these different things that you would have gotten from the cartoon series referenced and everything.
Yeah.
So I
But
mean,
but my
he played a
thing,
different feel for it.
yeah. But my thing is, if they were going for that whole cartoon nostalgia, why didn't he talk with a high pitched voice?
Well,
And
because Jared Leto
I,
doesn't have a high pitched voice.
that it don't matter.
Now,
He could have.
if Frank Oppenheimer had been alive still, I think what would have been best would have been having Jared Leto play the role and have Frank Oppenheimer doing the voiceover work.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
And then you would have had him doing something crazy and running off going, until we meet again.
Yeah. Until we meet again, He Man.
Right. So, I mean, Langella's Skeletor feels like he wandered in from a dark fantasy opera, basically, while everyone else is in a canon film action movie. He stands out above everybody else with it. He's just, but I mean, comparing the old one with the new one, I don't want a dark He-Man movie. I don't
But
want.
but the thing is, I do want a dark He
But see,
Man movie.
you're more of a of like a horror fanatic. You
Yeah,
love
but
horror movies,
still, I
right?
mean,
I know, but hear me out for a second. You love horror movies, right?
I
You
do.
love horror sci-fi movies
I do.
too.
Uh-huh.
So you would have really got into a dark He-Man movie that was just killing of people and everything in battle and stuff and things of that nature. But when in the cartoon, no one really ever really got killed per se, and they still gave you some of that in this movie in a couple of the battles, like where he just drove the blade clear through. Was it Pig Boy or something like that? I said.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and then of course the king died when he did something and a rock fell on top and crumbled on top of him and Skeletor.
yeah.
But so according to Robert Duncan McNeil that played the one of the kids in the movie from '87, the boy, he said Frank Langella even had input on his lines and makeup, helping shape the performance and the look of Skeletor. So he was Skeletor basically. He was telling him what he wanted to look like, how he was going to do it, what he was going to say. So do you think now so Frank Langella's Skeletor? Would you say that it's still the greatest thing any live action Masters of the Universe movie has ever given us?
Yes,
Or is it just the greatest thing from the 1987 movie?
I'm gonna say Frank Langella. He pulled that off. I mean, he
He
was
he
he was evil incarnate. So,
he he pulled it off, but is he the greatest thing of any Masters of the Universe movies given us, or is he just the
yes,
greatest thing?
yes,
So you think from both movies, he's the best thing of everything?
yes.
I don't know. I can't go that far. But moving on to Meg Foster's Evil Lynn, she brings an icy, mysterious energy to Evil Lynn. Doesn't get as much screen time as she deserves for it, I don't think, but her presence is memorable. Her eyes, her voice, her calm menace, they all work for the role of Evil Lynn.
Exactly. There
Now,
you
if I have a preference of Evil Lynn, the one that played Evil Lynn in this one versus Meg Foster playing Evil Lynn, I think Meg Foster did a better job as Evil Lynn. Um, did Evil Lynn deserve a bigger role in 1987? Yes, I think so. You didn't get much of her, like I said, screen time on there, and my only fault to them for what they've done still is just the way they made them look. I don't think they put much effort or care into making it look like what we grew up watching. They just want to throw it together, some kind of a He-Man movie, and put it on the big screen. If
Mm,
they could have taken more time and made people look more believable like the characters, I think we'd be having a different discussion right now for a lot of this.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, I did like I liked Evil Land's look, in the 2026.
mhm.
But overall, performance wise, dude, I'm gonna go with 87 because I mean, just because I liked her look in the 87 versus the 2026.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it didn't look, technically, you know, 100% cartoon transferred to live action, but I mean, it still had, she had the headpiece. She I don't think at any point she had like her staff or anything, but
No.
I know in the 2026, she had her staff at one point,
Mhm.
and then there were scenes that she had it and didn't have it. So
Right.
it was kind of weird that you pick up the little nuances of like no staff with a staff, no staff with a staff. So
Lots of, I think, much better with the staff.
yeah,
Before Friends, Courtney Cox played Julie, one of the Earth teenagers who gets caught up in the cosmic key adventure. Her character helps ground the story emotionally, especially with the subplot involving grief over her parents passing away. Does the Earth teenager story, in your opinion, help the movie, or does it pull too much focus away from Eternia?
mm, I mean, it kind of needed to be there since Grildor opens a portal and then puts them on Earth. I think that story needed to be there just to push the movie along. So, but like you said, if it was just He-Man, Skeletor, Eternia, you know, if it was just on Eternia, but I mean, we even got that in the 2026 too. Adam Adam falls through the portal. He goes to Earth. He grows up
Hmm.
on Earth.
But
I
of the 2 hours and 20 minutes worth of movie, how much is on Earth?
maybe 20, 30 minutes.
About 20 minutes worth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get more of a focus on Eternia in the 2026 version, which is what I wanted to have in the other one, and we didn't get. So yes, in my opinion, the Earth teenager story pulls too much focus away from Eternia because they had to go to Earth and end up there instead of taking a portal to somewhere else on Eternia. He could have opened a doorway to anywhere.
Yeah.
He could have had
Yeah.
coordinates to a different place in
Well, I
Eternia to get away.
mean, and the thing is, it's like when he's pushing the buttons, he was in a hurry. So he was just basically just hitting frequencies, melodies for the key to make it where it would open.
Hmm.
And then that's when it opened. He could have put him somewhere else on
So
Eternia.
so check this out. If they had done them somewhere else on Eternia instead of going to Earth, all right, they could have made a plot line in a story where they meet up with some of the other heroes from the cartoon. Whether they would have done it right or not, it's another story. But they could have met up with the Ram Man like they had in this new one, or a Fisto, or you could have had Stratos, or Buzz Off, or Moss Man, or
Mhm.
Manny Faces. Somebody.
And they could have
Mm,
done a Moss Man because they had already in the '80s they had done Swamp Thing.
right. So they,
So
they could have done something. But they chose to do a movie based on Earth because it's cheaper to use sets that's already on in the look of Earth versus making a new set of a new world and getting into too much CGI or anything.
well, I mean, how much did CGI play in the new The new Masters of the Universe. I'm gonna say it was probably 90% of the movie. So
So what do they do a lot? What do they do a lot in Marvel movies that people eat up and love?
CGI.
Right.
Transformers CGI. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
And when you watch the new Voltron movie when it finally comes out, what's it going to be?
100%
And it
CGI.
better be worth the wait too, people. Let me tell you, it better be worth the
Hey,
wait when it gets there.
dude, it's got Henry Cavill in it, so it's worth the wait.
They better not make the lions look stupid or Voltron formed look stupid.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
So Billy Barty plays Gwildor. Instead of Orko, the movie gives us Gwildor, a locksmith inventor character who created the cosmic key. He fills the comic relief area and magical helper role that Orko would have done for the fans, but he was no Orko. So, was Gwildor a creative workaround, or would you, or should the movie have found a way to include Orko?
Mm, no, I mean for what Grildor was in the '87, I think he needed to be in there instead of Orca because he was like the key maker. So
It's not really a question though of should he be there because of the story. It's more of a question. I mean, was he only there because they needed a creative workaround because they didn't want to put Orko in there, or they couldn't find a way to put Orko in there? I don't think at the time they could have put Orko in there because it would not have
CGI, yeah.
been. I mean, it would have been. They didn't have enough money for it. They only had a $22 million budget. If they were going to put a Orko in there and make this more of an Eternia thing, they would have spent, gosh, well
Yeah,
closer to,
billions of dollars.
well, no, well closer to 100 million, probably for sure. Or maybe 75 million, 60 million, somewhere in there. It's only 22 million, but they could have, if they had a larger budget, they could have done so much more, so much more better. So, jumping up to the 2026 now, the new Masters of the Universe is the second major live action film adaptation of the franchise. It's directed by Travis Knight, who is known for doing Bumblebee, and it's from Amazon MGM Studios and Mattel Studios. Amazon says the movie is now playing in U.S. theaters, which we already know, with international distribution handled by Sony Pictures International Releasing. Now, for those of you who haven't seen this, I'm sorry, there are some spoiler alerts coming up. We'll just say now, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you don't want to know anything about the new movie because you haven't seen it, go ahead and cut it off right here. I guess we haven't given too much away in the earlier conversation,
Yeah.
but this section will definitely give away a lot more. I'm just going to say that now. If you don't want to know, I understand. Go ahead and turn us off now. Go watch the movie, and then when you're done,
No.
come back and then see what we think. Yeah. Look, Martin, we couldn't do this, Martin, until you watch the movie. Okay, so I mean, come on, we got to be fair. We got to be fair. In 2026, the version stars Nicholas. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I said Galatzine earlier. Maybe it's Galatzine. I don't know. As Prince
We'll just
Adams
we'll
slash
just call
He-Man.
him we'll just call him Nick. We'll just
Nick.
call him Nick.
Nikki G.
Nicky G.
Jared Leto as Skeletor. Idris Elba as Duncan slash Man at Arms. Camila Mendez as Tila. Allison Brie as Evil Lynn. Kristen Wiig is the voice of Roboto, which was not a female voice in the cartoon.
Oh, yeah, it was.
James Purefoy as King Randor. Marina Baccarin as a sorceress. Johannes Hakur Johannesson as Malcolm slash Fisto, and Charlotte Riley as Queen Marlena. Now we also had Mechanic and Ram Man and Moss Man. And we had a character, Marty, if you remember, her name was Deanne, and Deanne was not from the cartoons.
Yeah, she was an add-on. So.
Well, she was from the original comic, though. The original comic strip. She was a character in there as a part of the King's Guard, like with Tila, fighting under Tila.
Interesting.
Yes. So it's kind of a throwback. See, they got a throwback to the old comic strip, throwback to the cartoons, throwback to the old movie. It's got a little bit of everything for everybody, I feel like, in there as far as throwbacks and stuff. But the plot also does something interesting. Adam has been separated from Eternia for 15 years, and the Sword of Power leads him back home to a world under Skeletor's rule. He teams with Tila and Man at Arms and has to accept his destiny as He Man. So he hasn't really been brought about as He Man yet. Whereas in the first movie, we're an already established He Man, and you don't hear anything about Prince Adam. Like I said, or Eternia, as far as it goes for the most part, you don't see nothing.
Yeah.
So already the new movie seems to be answering one of the biggest complaints about the 87 movie, giving us more Eternia, give us more mythology, give us the actual world of the Masters of the Universe. That's what a lot of people feel, you know. Nicholas cast breakdown. Nicholas G will say Nicholas Galitzine
Well,
as
Nick
Prince
G.
Adam and He
Nick
Man.
G.
He brings a very different energy than Dolph Lundgren. Dolph was more of a physical icon. Nicholas' version appears built around the dual identity. Adam is the lost prince, and He Man is the destiny he has to reclaim. So a comparison point, 87, He-Man's already fully formed. We meet him in 2026. He-Man appears to have more of a hero's journey. He's has to find himself, basically. That gives the newer movie a storytelling advantage. Instead of simply asking, is this guy strong enough to be He-Man? It asks, can this guy become the hero Eternia needs? Jared Leto as Skeletor is one of the biggest wild cards. Skeletor is not just another villain. He needs menace, I'm not even saying this word. Let's just say more theater based arrogance and a little bit of madness. The challenge for Leto is that Frank Langella set a very high bar in 1987. So, and to compare the two, Langella's
You
Skeletor
can't
was.
even compare the two.
Oh, you can compare them, but they're two totally different things here. Langella's Skeletor was grand, operatic, and theatrical. And Leto has to work in a modern fantasy blockbuster world where audiences expect both spectacle and emotional motivation. So definitely two totally different performances for sure. Can any modern Skeletor avoid being compared to Frank Langella?
No.
No. It's always going to be a comparison because he did such a great job in being the menace that he's going to bring comparison regardless. And Jared Leto did such a good Joker. You know, I mean,
and that's the thing. And me and my wife, we were talking while I was coming home before even hopping on to watch Master of the Universe. I told her, I said, the only movie that I've ever seen Jared Leto in that I liked was Suicide Squad. I hate to say that. I mean, it's because I think it's just the roles that he lands. It's just
now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did he do Morbius?
Yes, he did Morbius.
He
That
did a
was
good one. He
dumb.
did a good one.
That was
Morbius.
dumb. No, that was dumb. That was dumb.
That was decent.
It was dumb.
It was decent.
No way, man. It was dumb.
Man. All right. Idris Elba as Man at Arms. Idris Elba as Duncan / Man at Arms is one of the strongest casting choices on paper. He brings authority, toughness, and warmth. And the 1987 Man at Arms, played by John Cypher, was solid, but didn't get a huge amount of character depth. The 2026 movie has a chance to make Duncan feel more like a true mentor, a general, a protector, and a father figure. The comparison points to these two, 87's Man at Arms was more of a supporting warrior. In 2026, Man at Arms has a potential to be a major emotional anchor in the movie. So let's just go ahead and tackle this for what it is right here. Some people upset because Man at Arms wasn't more true to what the cartoon was. They have somebody of color playing the role, and some people don't appreciate it. Some people just don't care. I mean, I take it for what it is. I told you before, I like continuity. I like everything to be like it is, like it was. But
now what if instead of
Marty can't speak. He's flustered.
Ezra Alba. What if he hadn't played Duncan, Man at Arms. What if it was the guy that played Fisto that it came in and played Duncan, Man at Arms, and then made Fisto Ezra Alba?
I mean, it would have been the same both ways. I mean, because it's not true and consistent to what the cartoon was. If you're looking for to be consistent with what it was for the live action to the big screen,
Yeah,
I mean, because there's always going to be somebody that looks back and says, "Well, Man at Arms wasn't black; he was white." It's just like saying it's just like saying if we were to make a big screen version of say the Jeffersons, and you flip the script and you make George Jefferson white,
a white guy. Yeah,
and the other people differently, whatever. Or if you took and you made this, made Sanford and Son into a film, and you put somebody in the role of Red Fox who was white. I
uh,
mean, a lot of people
yeah,
are going to be very unhappy with it because it's not going to be the same. It's like you're changing something on purpose, to make it what you want it to be or to be more whatever. Well, people's argument is that the main reason why they brought in Idris Elba, and I don't know what the guy's name was that played what's his name, Triclops,
yeah,
um,
Cyclops. Yeah,
and the guy that Fisto and the one that played Ram Man, were from different countries, basically different.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure
Yeah,
where
different
they're
backgrounds. So
definitely it's all different backgrounds and
yeah,
everything.
because Rain Man was he was Asian. So
Right. So I mean, when people look back and go, "Huh, I don't know." At this point, I don't care because I've got more of a He-Man movie than I got in the previous one for stuff that I want. I'm getting a lot of Eternia. You see the city, the where the the castle and everything is for the king and the queen and all that good stuff. You see the forestry around it where they end up, I think, crashing the one ship and
mhm.
taking off on the sky sleds to attack the people who are coming after them. So sky sled automatically right there, we're getting vehicles from the cartoon now too,
Yeah.
that are more
Now,
realistic looking
now,
and everything.
now that was the one thing I will agree with you on that I did like. I love the simple fact that versus the 1987 maybe versus the 2026 maybe
Hmm.
you got a lot of the vehicles that was from the cartoon, from the toy line, and it was live action, like the buzzsaw ships and everything. Those are cool. I mean, like, and the sky sled. He's literally Adam jumps on the sky sled, and then he takes off out the back. And then at first you thought he was going to crash the thing into the ground, and then he kicks it, and then I guess he kicks the engines on, and then he starts firing and knocking the other ships out of the air.
Right.
I really liked how you got those vehicles and stuff.
It,
And
it definitely it definitely made a better experience in the movie.
yeah,
Camila Mendez played Tila. She gives a new film a chance to modernize the character. Tila in the '87 movie, played by Chelsea Field, was tough and capable, but she was still limited by the movie structure. In 2026, Tila is positioned as one of Adam's closest allies and part of the central mission. In '87, Tila was a warrior in the group. In 2026, Tila appears to be more central to Adam's journey and the fight for Eternia. She was also a warrior, but I mean, she's not portrayed as much as a tough warrior as Chelsea Field's version was. But I did like this version of Tila in this, and I wish they had done the Tila outfit all throughout the movie like they did at the end of it. That would have been a little bit better for me, but I can get by without it. It's okay.
uh,
It's
I
I could live with
I
it.
like the other version better before she put on the outfit. So I don't know. But I'm still partial. I'm still partial to the Warrior Tila. You know that was in '87 too. I mean, I thought that her portrayal was I don't know. It just seemed kind of more realistic.
Yeah.
So
Oh, see, Allison Brie took on Evil Lynn, and it's interesting because Evil Lynn's one of the franchise's best characters when written properly. She's not just Skeletor's assistant; she's powerful, manipulative, ambitious, and often more intelligent than everyone around her.
uh,
Um, Little comparison between the two: Meg Foster gave '87's Evil Lynn a cold, mysterious presence. Allison Brie's version has a chance to explore more personality, motivation, and betrayal. Um, so,
yeah.
moving on to some more story comparison. The '87 movie is basically He Man, Man at Arms, Tila, and Gwildor flee Eternia using the cosmic key. They land on Earth. Two teenagers find the key that they lost. Skeletor wants it. A mix of sci-fi soldiers, laser battles, and suburban chase scenes, and a fantasy villain speeches follows. It is part Star Wars, part Conan, part Flash Gordon, and part ET,
Mhm.
and part Canon Films Chaos.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's both the movie's weakness and its charm. The biggest criticism, it doesn't feel enough like a cartoon or a toy line. The biggest offense, it has its own weird '80s identity. In 2026, the story.
Mhm.
The version appears more mythology driven. Adam has been separated from Eternia for 15 years. The Sword of Power brings him home, and he finds Eternia under Skeletor's rule. It makes the story more personal now. Instead of He Man comes to Earth, it's more like Prince Adam returns to Eternia and becomes He Man. And that's probably a smarter structure for the modern audience because it gives us the Lost Prince, a magical destiny, a villain ruling the hero's homeland, a return to the fantasy world, and a full hero transformation. So, talking point for that basically, the 1987 movie was about He Man surviving Earth. In 2026, it's more about Adam reclaiming Eternia, which I think majority of He Man fans wanted to see once again more Eternia.
Mm, uh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. I would say so. I mean, like you said, it's the 2026 is more like the cartoon series versus the '87 wasn't like the cartoon series. But did I like the story better in the '87? Kinda. I mean, even though even though it still has cheese factor, but it just seemed like the 2026 had more cheese than the original did. So
I don't know. I mean, it's just to me the a lot of the cheese you referred to earlier to me was just throwbacks to the cartoon in the previous movie.
mm,
The '87 movie is, as far as tone goes, the '87 movie is darker and stranger than many people remember. Skeletor's throne room scenes feel almost horror adjacent. The Earth scenes feel like a teen sci-fi adventure. The action feels like low budget Star Wars. The music by Bill Conti gives a bigger emotional sweep than the visuals can always support. It's not exactly the cartoon. It's not exactly high fantasy. It's not exactly sci fi. It is a canon film fantasy action experience, though, or
mm,
experiment, I should say. And that's why it still has a cult audience. I think it's because it's canon films, Golden Globus, and all that good stuff. The 2026 tone, the 2026 film is clearly designed as a modern franchise relaunch, has a bigger cast, a bigger mythology, more recognizable characters, and blockbuster expectations. The risk is that it could become too polished and lose the bizarre charm that made the '87 movie memorable. The advantage is that the modern effects can finally show Eternia, the Sword of Power, Skeletor's armies, Roboto, Fisto, the Sorceress, and Castle Grayskull in a way the 1987 movie simply could not.
Mhm. Now
Um,
I will give you this. And when we were talking earlier, seeing actual Castle Grayskull and actually seeing Snake Mountain
mhm.
in the 2026
Mhm.
version of Masters of the Universe, very cool. But the thing is, I don't know. I'm still super partial to the way Castle Grayskull looked and the 1987 because it just had that more like menacing look to it. So
But it didn't really. I mean, if you look at anything of what Castle Grayskull looks like in a cartoon, you can't just slap a skull on the side of a mountain and say it's Castle Grayskull. It's
but
got to have
it
some
wasn't
similar
on the
look.
top of the mountain though. I mean, it was. I mean, it was a castle and it had like structure to it, but it had like it was weird because it had the skull on the front of the castle, but it had like these like metal rods or something coming off the skull, like wrapping around into the castle.
I don't
So
know, but I will say this: I'd like for everybody watching and listening, let us know in the comments if you've seen both of them. Which Castle Grayskull you thought looked better of the two?
I mean, the one that favors the cartoon the most is going to be the remake, in 2026. I mean, because it's basically a castle and it's got a skull on the front of it. I mean, it just looks authentic. So
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's got more of a feel for the cartoon.
yeah,
It's not like the original one that looks just I don't know, man. It's just, yeah, it had a skull in it, but I mean the overall thing looks a little bit too much. Um,
I know what it reminded me of.
what's that?
The one from 1987. It reminded me of the castle that was in Kroll. That
Yeah, that would be crawl. That would be kind of similar for sure.
yeah,
Which brings us to the visuals. In '87, the movie had some cool imagery, especially Skeletor's throne room, the costumes, and the final confrontation, but it was limited by budget. So a lot of the film takes place in alleys or stores, schools, and streets.
yeah.
Often
And,
feels like the movie
and
is
music
hiding.
and music record stores.
Yeah, it often feels like the movie is hiding the world we actually came to see. That said, practical costumes and sets give it texture. Skeletor's makeup, Evelyn's look, the troopers, Blade, Sauron, and Beastman all have that rubber suit 80s monster movie charm. I don't remember seeing them out of makeup or anything, but
Yeah, me neither. I mean, the reptile guy. I guess it was. Uh, I, I'm trying to remember his name from '87, but he didn't last in the movie very long. Skeletor was like, "You failed me," and he was all like, "Zap!" I mean, it took him out, and he just disappeared.
bye bye. Nice seeing you.
Uh,
Not. Um, so the big talking point in this is '87 movie gave us a glimpse of Eternia. 2026 movie seems built to finally, you know, finally let audiences live there in a sense. You feel like what Eternia, you can see what Eternia looks like, and you kind of feel it in a sense of what it would be like to be in that palace amongst their little party they're having and everything. Their celebration.
yeah.
They're
But
also
I don't
celebrating.
remember. I don't remember too many of them partying though. I mean, was that at the beginning of the movie or was that at the end of the movie?
Um, for the What, the 87 or the 2026?
The 2026. I don't remember no party going on.
I mean, not so much of a. I mean, I guess not so much of a party, but I mean, the
Like
feel
a
you
like
get
a
from.
like a hangout.
Yeah, yeah, the feel you get from watching like when they do the big belly laugh thing. Like remember
No,
at almost the end of every cartoon,
no. I
and
knew you
almost
were. I knew
it,
you were gonna mention that.
you have to
I,
mention it. It's a
no,
throwback to the
no,
cartoon.
no. That was
It's listen, all right,
that was the most horrible scene in the movie.
hold up, just hold up. All right, it's not meant to be great. It's meant to be a throwback to the cartoon, and it was appreciated when I went and watched it. Everybody in the theater loved it. They were like,
What?
"Yeah, this, well, yeah, look at that," and they're all gathered around and they're talking about what's going on, and it's like all lean back, hands on their stomach, like it's funny,
Yeah.
and then
And then what's crazy is even Tila and Duncan do it too. And
yes,
at one
but they
point,
did it in the cartoon, though.
I'm like, dude, come on, no, no.
Yes, you have listen. All right, there are throwbacks to everything in this thing. That's a throwback to the cartoon, right? The sorceress turning into the eagle and flying off. Reference to
Yeah,
the cartoon.
that was cool. I like that. Yeah,
There's a reference of Skeletor and the memes going around online of him working out, going, "Bro, do you even lift?" He's in the gym with Adam when Adam was there.
yeah. When he goes into his mind, yeah,
Yes, yes. So there's throwbacks to a lot of stuff. You got Dolph Lundgren doing a cameo,
yeah,
offering he's asked does he have any advice to him. He's like, no. Then he says yes. Then he says something stupid. He says, "Is that it? Is there more?" He says, "Nope, no more. Good journey, kid."
good
And he
journey, kid.
leaves, which is straight up from the first one. Good journey.
Hmm.
But I mean, anyway. Segment. We'll see. Box office and reception comparison. In the 87 movie was a box office disappointment, grossing 17.3 million worldwide against an estimated 22 million budget. And 2026 movie is also facing box office pressure. The box office mojo lists a domestic opening of about 29.4 million and a domestic gross of about 58.1 million as it's reporting, while other coverage has described the movie as underperforming relative to its large reported budget. Um, that creates a fascinating parallel in a sense. Both live action Masters of the Universe movies arrived with big expectations. Both had to prove that He Man could work theatrically, and both faced the same problem. How do you turn a beloved toy cartoon franchise into a movie that satisfies the kids, the adult fans, and the general audience?
Transformers.
The Transformers. Uh, So the biggest similarities between the 87 and 2026, both are trying to translate a toy/cartoon mythology into live action. That's harder than it sounds. He-Man can look iconic in animation, but in live action, he can look silly if the tone is wrong. Both rely heavily on Skeletor. He's a make or break villain. If Skeletor works, the movie instantly is more watchable. Um, Three, both use Earth as part of Adam He-Man's journey, and that's because his mother Marlena was from there. She was an astronaut that crash landed on Eternia, if you remember.
Yeah.
The 87 movie sends He-Man to Earth. The 2026 movie involves Adam being separated from Eternia and raised away from his destiny. Both carry the pressure of nostalgia.
But my thing is, and I know I mentioned this to you earlier. I thought it would have been better, like if Adam, being a 10-year-old, going through the portal, holding on to the sword, then losing the sword, and then ending up, on Earth. But he still retained all his memories. Like he still knew about Eternia, and I, th- I thought it would have been probably better, say if he had lost his memories, of Eternia, and he just knew his name was Adam, and then that 15 years, you know, then come across the sword. Like just because we're in the comic book store or was it a comic book store or was it like a toy store slash comic book store? But he finally finds the sword of power, and it's
Mhm.
in like the hands of what is that one woman call him? The barbarian. He was
I
Torg.
forget
He was
what's.
he was Torg the barbarian. Yeah, and then and he's dude. That whole part was hilarious. He's trying to pull the sword out of the barbarian's
He
hands,
can't get it out.
and he's trying to pull it, and it drags him down.
It does have some silly points when it comes to with him being on Earth. Though,
Yeah,
like we were you wanted to bring this up, like when he's out on the date with the girl,
yeah,
and
dude, that was
he
dumb.
can't seem to go on one date without talking to them like they're counselors or something, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
telling them all about Eternia and how he's a prince there and stuff, and
Yeah, I was like,
Skeletor has done this bad stuff, and he has to find his sword of power to fulfill his destiny or something, you know.
she's looking at her phone like, "Mm."
I really gotta look. She goes, I really gotta take this.
I gotta take this phone call. And he's like, I didn't hear the phone ring, and
No,
she's like, oh,
no, I don't think she said phone call. I think she said, I really gotta take this. He goes, but it didn't ring. She goes, I know, but it's my phone. I really have to take it. I'm leaving. Yeah.
yeah, that's
So,
right. That's what she said.
so the biggest difference is Ro and He Man versus He Man versus Prince Adams. What we got 87 gives us He Man right away. Dolph Lundgren's the hero from the start. In 2026, it's focused more on Prince Adam becoming He Man, and that gives a more emotional structure. This could also be done this way because it's going to build up to some more live action later down the road, for like with a part two, possibly, which they
Yeah,
would love to do probably because they've left it wide open for one. So doing what they've done in this one makes it better because in the next one, he can just go around the corner, which he'll probably do. He does it in this one, to do the by the power of Grayskull bit, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
I would like to see him hit Cringer with it and change Cringer around because in this one, all he did was get Cringer to get brave for a couple of minutes and rode his back all the way through.
Well, no, I mean at the very end, I mean like
At the
you know
very, very
when,
end,
when he's going to that village and everything, he's already changed into He-Man. He's
right?
he's changed Cringer into Battle Cat.
Well, no, he
So
wasn't. He wasn't He Man. He was Adam at that point. He went to change into He Man because they were making fun of it. If you remember, saying why they're
like,
like he does know, we know, right? Why is he going to go hide to change? You
exactly.
know, and then which in the cartoon, Tila didn't know. It was just Man at Arms and Orko and the sorceress.
Yeah, the sorcerers. Yeah.
So I would have been okay if he was hiding the fact of who he was. All right, but they didn't really give you that deep
Right.
of a
Yeah,
story.
they didn't really let you get that whole
Yeah.
feel. Yeah.
So winner for character arc is definitely going to be 2026, but the winner for instant icon energy is going to be the 87. He was instantly He Man. Skeletor, Frank Langella Skeletor is legendary. Jared Leto has a huge challenge following that. Winner for cult villain status is 1987. Potential winner for modern menace 2026, depending on audience responses. You get Eternia. The 87 movie barely gave us enough Eternia. The 2026 movie appears to be built around returning to Eternia,
Yeah.
saving it from Skeletor. So, winner for the world building is the new movie. Nostalgia, the 87 movie has real 80s texture, Canon Films energy, practical costumes, synthy weirdness, but um, it's impossible to recreate exactly. Um, so they're giving 1987 the winner for the retro charm.
Yeah.
For the
Which that's what we are. We are retro.
We are
So-
retro, yes, that is true, but that just doesn't. You can't twist and turn the word like you want, Marty, when it just because it fits. Franchise potential, the 2026 version clearly has a bigger cast and more mythology in place, which gives it more room for sequels and spin-offs and expanded universe storytelling. So that's the winner for that for the franchise potential. It's a 2026 movie. Let's see here. Let's
But
let's
since
get a
they
couple
since
quick
they spent
things.
since they spent such a big budget on CGI,
Mhm.
wouldn't you think that, like, you know, He Man would have looked more like, the Incredible Hulk? I mean,
Uh,
versus, like, we got this little dude with just like these little with these kind of decent pecs. I mean, I mean, I
Look what they
mean,
did to Chris Evans though in Captain America.
dude, Chris Evans worked his ass off to look like that. I
No, I
mean,
mean no. I'm talking about in the reverse. They made him look so puny and small.
yeah,
If you can make someone look like that, you can make them look bulkier and better, strength wise and all too. So they could have done
Mhm.
something like that.
Man,
Did the 1987 movie fail because it was bad, or because it wasn't Masters of the Universe movie fans expected?
I don't. The movie wasn't bad. It just wasn't what everybody expected.
Right.
So
Because the movie
I
was
mean,
not bad. It
I
was good for what it was.
like the movie a lot. I
Yeah.
like it a lot.
I liked it too, and I just watched it today to prepare for this. I still like the movie.
Mhm.
It's just if my preference of the two is the modern one. Is Frank Langella's Skeletor so good that he makes the 87 movie better than it should be?
Yes, yes, yes.
If you guys want a fun thing, Travis and I, when he was on the show every week, we went back and we recast the He-Man movie.
Like the '87 He Man.
Yes, we recasted it with modern day people in it because we didn't know they were going to do a live action again anytime soon, right? But
Yeah,
like, if you could redo it today, who would you put acting in the roles? I don't remember a single one of mine before you asked, so
dude. I already know. I
go
already
back to the
know. I already
archives we have
know.
and find it and listen
I
to it.
already know for a fact who I would have picked over Jared Leto. Dave Bautista.
Mm, I don't know, maybe.
Because he's got the build. I mean, that,
I don't know about him.
dude.
I don't know.
and he's a hell of an actor.
Good
So,
actor, yes, for sure. Definitely good actor. Does Masters of the Universe work better when it's fully embraces the fantasy, or does the Earth setting make it more relatable?
mm, their setting makes it more relatable.
No, no,
Yeah. Yep.
no.
Yep. Yep.
We
Yep.
don't. No,
Yep.
you don't want it to be relatable to you here. You want what was in the cartoon. That's why you want live action.
Mm.
You want it's like, look, I told you they better mess up Voltron. And the next movie they should do, for those who can see this, that's
Thunder,
Thundercats right there.
Thundercats. Yeah.
They can do Thundercats so well if they wanted to, and I hope they do one as well. And they better not mess that up either if they do.
Thundercats and Silverhawks. We need both.
Silverhawks as well. Yes, exactly. Who is the harder job? Dolph Lundgren playing He-Man in '87 with limited effects, or Nicholas G playing He-Man in 2026 under modern fan expectation?
Dolph all the way. So,
He is the harder job.
yep.
Hmm. Well, I mean, he definitely didn't have the chops for it as far as the acting and talking. So, and not to mention, like I mentioned earlier, he didn't want to play the role,
No.
but eventually did. Should He-Man movie be serious, campy, funny, weird, or all the above?
It should be dark. Dark, dark, dark.
That's not an option.
Yeah, that's an option.
What character absolutely has to work for the franchise to continue? He-Man, Skeletor, Tilo, or Man at Arms? That's obvious. He-Man. I
Yeah,
mean, that has to really work for the franchise to continue. So they got to do something about that. Um,
but
would you
the
rather watch a flawed movie with personality or a polished movie that plays it safe?
The flawed movie with that. Let's say that again.
Would you rather watch a flawed movie with personality
Yes, that one. A
or a
flawed
polished
movie
movie
with
that plays it
personality.
safe?
Yeah,
Okay.
flawed with personality.
All right. So, final verdict. I know Marty picks 87. I picked 2026. So, there's no real clear case winner or clear cut winner. But I'm pleading my case. Marty's pleading his. Let us know in the comments what your favorite of the two is and why.
And before we take off, I wanted to ask you. Okay, so in the '87 Masters of the Universe, when Skeletor finally gets the power of Greyskull, and that golden suit, that he's wearing, like if you notice the headpiece
Mhm.
that he's wearing in the '87. If you go and watch the Netflix Masters of the Universe cartoon, I can't remember if it was the second season because it was after Skeletor had like entered Castle Grayskull and taken the power of Grayskull, and then he changed, and then he literally like his whole body just changed. But he was still in this kind of purple looking armor and everything, not gold.
Right.
But the headpiece looked almost identical to the one from the '87 from the cartoon, and I thought that was a real good. I thought that was a nice throwback that Kevin Smith actually added into the cartoon show.
Well, he definitely has his fan base with his versions as well. That's no doubt. And I did watch both Revelations and Revolution, and I did like both of them. I didn't like it more than the original cartoon because I told you I prefer that style of animation
Yeah.
for a lot of shows and everything for cartoons. But that is what it is. So basically, so again, which movie wins? The answer depends on what you want from Masters of the Universe. If you want pure '80s nostalgia, strange canon films, energy, practical costumes, a wild earthbound sci-fi adventure, one of the most committed villain performances of the decade, then the '87 Masters of the Universe still has the power. But if you want a bigger mythology, more Eternia, more characters from the franchise, a stronger Prince Adam arc, and a modern attempt to turn He-Man into a true fantasy blockbuster, the 2026 Masters of the Universe has the advantage. The '87 movie is the weird cult artifact. 2026 is a big modern relaunch. One feels like VHS tape you found at your video store and watched on a Saturday afternoon. The other feels like Hollywood finally saying, okay, let's try to build another one, or let's try to build this world for real. But here's the real question: can any modern version of Masters of the Universe ever be as strangely memorable as the 1987 movie? Because sometimes power isn't just in the word, in the sword. Sometimes the power is in the nostalgia.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up here, our comparison of Masters of the Universe 1987 versus Masters of the Universe 2026. Now we want to hear from you. Which version did you prefer? Are you team Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella, or are you ready for the new era of Nicholas Galitzine and Jared Leto?
Nick G.
Nicky G, he's saying
Nicky
Nicky
G.
G.
Nicky G.
Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the t-shirt shop through the link in the bio link in the Instagram. So pretty simple. I know a lot of you are probably Instagram goers out there. You know what to do.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Search us under Retro Life for you right there. Uh, until next time, Marty, remember by the listen. Normally, I want you to say stay retro, but it gives us a very special ending one for this. I think this week. Until next.
We have the power.
No. We're gonna customize this. And you had that's what you say. You say you had the power. We're gonna customize this week, okay? Because by the power of nostalgia, we have the podcast.
That's right. That is right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.